You've supported the president. You weren't one of those calling for him to step aside. We'd just love your initial reaction where you were when this news dropped about 3-4 hours ago.
Well, let's just say I had just left a canvas kickoff for Biden-Harris, a group in Oakland County that was getting ready to go knock doors for the campaign when I saw the president's announcement. And look, I can tell you right now, I still support the president, and I support the decision that he's made. I support his leadership, and I support his direction in asking us to join him in endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. And so my sleeves are rolled up. I have already seen reports that her fundraising is through the roof. The Clintons have endorsed her. I was just at another community event. I'm pointing to the backyard because that's where I am, still in Oakland County. And people are resolved to finish the job. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and their backwards agenda is not going to win Michigan. The Harris ticket is going to deliver a win for the Democrats.
Representative Stevens, we have a number of issues to work through, but I just want to touch on one. I think you've heard a lot from the other side of the aisle this afternoon, and they've had this question leading up to this decision as well. If the president isn't fit to run, why is he fit to govern for the next 4 months? What do you think people are going to say back to that? What would you say back to that particular question?
Well, he didn't say anything about his fitness. He said very rightly that he is suspending his campaign for president for the next 4 years. I believe he remains very fit to be our president and to lead the country. And in fact, there's not one decision he has made that has raised questions for me. He's delivered a bipartisan foreign aid package. The government hasn't shut down under his watch like it did under the last 2 presidential administrations. And he prevented us from the country from defaulting on our debt when Republicans in the Congress were pushing for that. So he's got full ability to continue to finish out his term, as well as help Democrats win in November, which is what he is calling for us to do in supporting Vice President Kamala Harris is now the Democratic nominee for president.
Congresswoman, Detroit Free Press, though, this morning showed that Trump has a notable 7 percentage point lead in Michigan. How do you think she is going to be able to overcome that when the Republicans are painting her part of this administration as she is?
That's a great question. And look, I saw the same poll this morning hit my hometown publication. And what we know is that there has been some lag with our Democratic base, particularly as the president's candidacy was called into question. I've been speaking with the Biden-Harris campaign for a long time about our trajectory and our path here. We've obviously seen some polls that have had President Biden up previous to today, and now we have today's poll that shows a lag. And one of the things that we know is that lag has actually been coming from our own base, and not because people aren't going to come out to vote. It's just more so they were wondering if something like today was going to happen with this announcement. So we can absolutely make up that ground. We know that we are on good footing here in Michigan with Governor Whitmer, members of Congress like myself. There's 7 House Democrats in Michigan who are going to be working very hard for this ticket. And we have to remind people that a national abortion ban is on the line. Legislation that the Trump-Vance ticket supports to proliferate guns in America, which has hit us really hard here in America, or in Michigan in particular, where we've had just in Father's Day weekend a shooting event at a splash pad. And people want that common sense gun safety legislation. And so partners like Everytown for Gun Safety are reminding people about that. They want to see a minimizing of violence, and they also want to see a middle-class agenda, which just take a look at the Trump tax cuts from 2017. It didn't prioritize the middle class. It was corporate giveaways, and it hurt our teachers and our public officers like police and fire. So we want to continue to build off of the industrial policy that we have had these last 4 years, a good climate agenda, as well as the prioritizing of people's rights. And lastly, the LGBTQ agenda. You know, you've got families who have openly gay children, trans children. They are concerned, and they want to make sure that they're not going to be persecuted or targeted in a Trump-Vance administration.
Congresswoman, Kayleigh and I just came back from Milwaukee, and the RNC was very well organized. How is the DNC going to look when you're dealing with protests, pro-Palestinian protests in Michigan? They are going to move and migrate to Chicago and cause a lot of chaos for the Democratic Party. How is that going to look? Because right now the party looks like it's chaotic. How is it going to project unity with your base continually protesting the current administration that now the top of the ticket is attached to?
Well, I'm glad to hear your validation that the RNC was safe and well run. From the way I was looking at it, you had people falling asleep during the president's speech. I've heard reports of police having to, I believe, kill a homeless man outside of the perimeter, given that he was holding a knife and in a fight with another homeless man. So I am confident that we're not going to see any deaths at the DNC. And I'm also confident in the team that's putting it together. These are real professionals. I've had a chance to speak with members of the DNC and the committee, and they are really confident that they can continue to put forward a very strong convention, and that as a Democrat, I'm going to be standing by and certainly welcoming those who support the U.S.-Israel relationship, who support the hostage families, like what we saw at the RNC that wasn't political. I co-chair the bipartisan task force on hostages and Americans wrongfully detained abroad alongside my Republican colleague, French Hill. And so I believe that we will be able to see some of that unity and frankly, a real determination for what's at stake. This is the third national election where Donald Trump has been on the ballot. They tend to be very ugly, very negative, and we don't want that. We don't want that in Michigan. People are tired of this. They want positivity, they want to be uplifted, and they want a vision for the future, not a backwards trajectory that's going to leave women without health care.
Well, Congresswoman, you've mentioned a few times that Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris and that you agree with that decision. Many other Democrats have. Noteworthy, though, your leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, did not do so explicitly in his statement, just praised the president that Biden has been. Has he communicated with the caucus? Have you heard from him today?
Well, obviously, this is unfolding news, and I look forward to seeing Mr. Jeffries in legislative session back in Washington tomorrow. I'm still trying to make my way back to Washington. I've gotten a couple of notices about flights changing given some of the disruptions that have happened this weekend. So, look, there's certainly breaking news that is be getting a lot of questions that we need answers to. And I expect to hear from Mr. Jeffries tomorrow or Tuesday when we convene as a caucus. And let me just be clear on this. I have full faith and trust in the leadership of Mr. Jeffries. He has been phenomenal through this process. That has certainly asked a lot of Democratic members of Congress. I was a member from Michigan, a swing state, who was vehemently supporting President Biden and continues to support his leadership, which is now calling on us to support Vice President Harris. And I will make that pitch to Mr. Jeffries when I see him. And I know that he's listening to members from both coasts, from the middle of the country, who represent this beautiful mosaic of our Democratic Party, as my leader, Mr. Jeffries, likes to say.
Well, he's your leader in the House. Of course, your state has a different leader in Gretchen Whitmer, who you've mentioned, Congresswoman. Would it be wise for Kamala Harris, if she is the top of the ticket, to have Whitmer alongside her?
Well, look, I think we're all a little bit tired of members of Congress weighing in on what presidential candidates should do. But I will say this, Governor Whitmer is a very strong individual. She is very popular here in Michigan. She's just released this book that is quite compelling, truth-telling from her perspective and life stories, and also some lessons to impart on people. So, look, I know what goes into making a vice presidential selection. In fact, in 2008, I was on the vice presidential nominee team in the Obama campaign. So I actually did a big deep dive on the history and what goes into that. I was right there when President Obama picked then Senator Joe Biden to be his vice presidential nominee and running mate. And look, it wasn't done because members of Congress were chiming in. You've got to look at rapport first and foremost between the presidential nominee and whoever they pick for vice president. It is their pick. That is the first note of trust, really, that begins with a presidential candidate, who they pick to be their vice president. And so I really respect our now Vice President, Kamala Harris. I'm fully confident she is going to make history in November. And I'm also very confident that she is going to pick a vice presidential nominee running mate who is going to work alongside her in this governing team that has bested expectations in the Biden-Harris administration to continue to finish the job. So I'm really excited for that. Certainly a lot to say on that front. And I look forward to seeing who she picks.